This is only the second George Raft film I've shown on Noir Alley, and there's a reason. Most of them are mediocre at best, and rarely enlivened by any genuine style, especially ones directed by Edwin Marin. The director's one certifiable classic was 1938's A Christmas Carol with Reginald Owen. Marin and Owen were quite a team, making 4 pictures together in the 1930s. In fact, if Marin had a trademark, it was his fealty to certain leading men. After making 6 crime pictures in 3 years with Raft, the director shared the same allegiance with Randolph Scott, making 6 westerns with him. Marin's specialty became working with veteran actors who were pretty much punching the clock and didn't need any hotshot directors with big ideas. In the noir era, George Raft seemed like a fish out of water. His rat-a-tat 1930s style, which fueled his stardom, was an anachronism in this new era of stoic, haunted leading men. His former co-star at Warner Brothers, Humphrey Bogart, had changed the game. Bogart showed the power of being pensive. He looked right into his co-stars and listened to them before issuing a sardonic reply. Raft always seemed to be waiting for his cue, a holdover from the rapid-fire dialogue of so many 30s movies. Nocturne marked the first appearance of actor Joe Pevney, who'd bring New York hustle to supporting roles over the next 4 years. In fact, Pevney has a rare distinction. He only acted in 5 films, but all of them were noir. Nocturne, Body and Soul, The Street with No Name, Thieves' Highway, and Outside the Wall. After that, Pevney spent the rest of his career behind the camera. His first film as a director was 1950's Shakedown, a terrific newspaper noir in which Pevney had his last on-screen part, a Hitchcockian walk-on. He quickly became perhaps the most reliable contract director at Universal. In the 1950s, churned out 27 pictures during that decade, including such noir-tinged numbers as Iron Man, Playgirl, 6 Bridges to Cross, Female on the Beach, and The Midnight Story. Now, Pevney switched to television in the 1960s, where he'd reunite with producer Joan Harrison. In 1955, she had become the executive producer of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. The director, now a brand unto himself, only agreed to put his name on a weekly TV series if Harrison was in charge. And she continued to produce the show with colleague Norman Lloyd after it expanded into the Alfred Hitchcock Hour in 1962. And that's when Pevney came aboard, directing 5 episodes. Now, Joe Pevney made hundreds of TV shows, including 14 episodes of Star Trek. The role of Frances Ransom was a good one for Lynn Barry, who rarely got parts that required more than being beautiful. Her acting career was hampered somewhat by her being one of the most popular pinup girls of World War II, showing off the $1 million figure that also got her stuck with another ridiculous nickname, the Woo-Woo Girl. She and Ann Sheridan must have compared notes on dealing with stupid studio-created nicknames. Although she added sparkle to any B film, Barry never got the breakout role that would have elevated her to the A-list. She did, however, leave an impression in noir, where in addition to Nocturne, she showed well opposite Vincent Price in 1946's Shock, and she was never more gorgeous than when photographed by John Alton in The Spiritualist, where she plays a wealthy widow being bilked by mentalist Turhan Bey. Look for that one under its alternate title, The Amazing Mr. X. As for newcomer Virginia Houston, she'd co-star the following year in RKO's Greatest Noir, Out of the Past, playing the good woman who can't save Robert Mitchum from the luscious clutches of femme fatale Jane Greer. Incidentally, Houston's 2 numbers, Why Pretend and A Little Bit is Better Than None, were actually sung by Martha Mears, one of the busiest secret singers in the business. Mears also provided the singing voice for Veronica Lake in This Gun for Hire, among many others. Now, producer Joan Harrison only made 1 more movie at RKO, the sensational 1947 drama They Won't Believe Me, featuring one of Jonathan Latimer's best screenplays. She put everything into that one, but once again was crushed when the studio mandated an absurd change that weakened the ending, all to mollify the production code. Harrison only made 4 more feature films, including 1947's hard-boiled Ride the Pink Horse, before she turned to television. The irony is that once she reunited with Hitchcock on TV, those shows became famous for uncompromising shock endings, things that Harrison could never get away with at major studios during the 40s. In 1958, solidifying her love of darkness and intrigue, Harrison married renowned British spy and mystery novelist Eric Ambler. They enjoyed a long, happy union, both personally and professionally, proving that the family that slays together stays together. Next week, I'll be presenting one of the strangest movies ever on Noir Alley, The Woman on the Beach. It started production at RKO in 1945, well before Nocturne, but it didn't make it to movie screens until the summer of '47. 8 months after Nocturne. So you know there's a story behind that. Until then, share your alibis on the Noir Alley Facebook page and Twitter feed, but just make sure they're round, firm, and fully packed.